Hey there, Kimber from Moksha Yoga and Wellness, here to chat about how to use your lifestyle to balance excess Vata Dosha. So if you're not sure what your current dosha is, where you may be out of balance, check out my other videos that help you go through that, or go to my website, mokshayogawellness.com, and you'll get a free 25-minute video training on what all the doshas are and help to determine yours. So Vata Dosha we normally think of as being highest in fall, but you can experience excess Vata Dosha any time of year depending on your constitution. Just remember that you need to keep a balance between staying balanced for this season and being balanced for your constitution. So say for example, if you feel really out of whack in Vata and you're trying all these warm, grounding, softening, heavy things, that could put you really out of whack in springtime, and even if you balanced your Vata, you may send your Kapha overboard. So it's all a fine line that you have to understand your body and listen to the signals it's giving you to understand where you need to move a little bit forward and where you may need to step back. So when we think of Vata Dosha, we think of air and ether elements and the qualities of being light and mobile and erratic and moving and maybe even a little bit dry and excess. So in Ayurveda, we always balance with the opposite. If you have too much light, moving, dry, erratic, mobile, we could just keep going in that direction, keep that momentum, like increasing like. So if we want to use the wisdom of Ayurveda, we use things on the opposite end of the spectrum. We balance with the opposite of those qualities to find a way in the middle that looks something more like balance for you. So the opposite of dry and movement and erratic and airy is warm and moist. If we're talking about diet for someone that has a lot of Vata going on, warm and moist is going to be your mantra. So if you are someone who really likes raw food and a lot of cold food, salads and smoothies and juices may actually not be great for you in a time when you're feeling a lot of Vata. You may be more deeply nourished by warm, cooked, moist food. Stews and soups and things you just throw in the crock pot all day with a little bit of extra water and they can just all congeal together. Those sort of things are going to be much more deeply nourishing for a Vata imbalance. So if you already have too much Vata, the mobile, the erratic, the dry, the movement, you're going to be drawn potentially to things that just keep you going in that direction of going out of balance. So you may want cold food, you may want dry food, chips and crackers and things that have no moisture to them. But that's just like increasing like, that's just exacerbating the problem that's already there. So we also want to avoid caffeine, which can be really drying and really stimulating, which as a Vata imbalanced person you maybe already have. So if we're thinking of the opposite, warm everything, even warm drinks. This can mean warm water when you're sipping your water throughout the day. As long as it's not summer, having some warm water can be really, really helpful. Making sure all of our food is warm. So even if we're eating leftovers from the day before, making sure they're warmed up in the oven before we eat them. And if we want to introduce more of these warm, moist, grounding qualities, root vegetables. I mean, just think about things that grow under the ground. Beets and carrots and turnips. They already have inherently that kind of heavier, denser, grounded, rooted quality, which is exactly what we want to bring into us. So eat a bunch of those root vegetables. Also, if we're talking about warming, we can think about warming spices. So things like cumin, ginger, cinnamon can be really helpful to cook with. And that's slightly different than the Kapha spices because the Kapha warming spices are more about pungency, about getting a kick. Whereas these Vata spices are more about how can we warm you from the inside up. The other way to do that to combat cold and dry is with lots of healthy fats. So don't be afraid of really high quality cold pressed oils. Avocado oil, sunflower oil, ghee, clarified butter is absolutely amazing for all doshas, but especially a Vata person. Coconut oil, healthy nuts and seeds, things like this. Healthy dairy products. We don't want them super, super cold though. Remember that. So let them sit out of the refrigerator for a few minutes before you consume an ice cream. Probably not your best bet. Warm, sweet grains. Vatas can do well with most grains, so wheat, oats are great, brown rice, Really the only grain that you'd maybe be thinking about avoiding would be corn, because it can be a little bit astringent and drying. Fruits can also be really great if you have a lot of Vata going on, things like mangoes and cranberries and bananas, and things that have a little bit of warmth to them and even maybe a little heft. As far as protein, a Vata person may need a little more protein. Ayurveda, a lot of people have the misconception that Ayurveda says that you have to be vegetarian, but really anything is medicine for somebody, I think, is a more accurate way to understand Ayurveda. So if you have a lot of Vata in your body, you may need a little more grounded protein building you back up, and that may look like meat. And if that's okay with your values, then you don't have to feel bad about it if it's coming from a sustainable, healthy source. But you can also do, if you're not into eating meat, eggs, lentils. Lentils are great for a Vata person, mung beans. But a little more protein you may find maybe a little more helpful. So really just thinking at all of our food choices, warm, moist, cooked foods, stews and soups and one-pot meals, cooked apples for breakfast can be fantastic. Keep things moving through the digestive tract, avoid the constipation that can come with excess Vata, and keeping away from the dry things like chips and crackers and any cold, raw foods. So I hope that helps. Let me know what questions you have, and then make sure you tune into the video that talks about how to use exercise as the other part of lifestyle to help balance your Vata dosha.